So I didn't record a video for Shabbos. I usually don't, but also it was a holiday on Sunday. It was the second day of the first days of Sukkot. So today I'll share about not projecting. And starting with the idea that when we're not projecting, we can actually see what's in front of us. So I was able to see some precious moments, like somebody, his name was Sprouti at that time, from some years ago, bringing me juice, being patient, understanding, and waiting while I was late because I had to shower. Didn't judge my room or my hygiene or anything when I felt bad about myself if I was lapsing, which just means like lagging a little. Seeing how he had great style, how I felt at that time I was not observing, a marriage, so I felt like I was able to be satisfied in terms of intimacy, in terms of smiling, laughing, surprising me, wanting to see me, even sexually feeling very desired, feeling pleasure, like feeling like someone wanted to play along with all my nonsense. And that's possible when, all this starts from balance. I had a talk with somebody named David from my recovery many years ago about how we need a connection to our body, our mind, our heart, our community, our higher power, and even one other person. And this is how we reconcile the inner conflicts, the belief that are holding us divided. One second. I need a tissue. I got a little bit, they call it under the weather, but I think I got allergies or contagious something. I wasn't feeling too great the last couple of days. So you can pray for me. Just did my nails also, so I want to be careful not to ruin them right after. How many times I've done that up? It looks like I did a little bit. Actually, it'll be fine. Okay, so when we're divided, that's when things are not in one. That's when we can't attract our highest manifestation of desire. Can't tell if I should fix it now before it's too late. Maybe I will. So, for example, if we're carrying too much on one shoulder, we can take a type of rest, like in terms of asking for help, in terms of remembering what it's like to be free of suffering, to giving ourselves time to prepare. And even just like telling ourselves, you're sweet, so that we're not like moving so far ahead just to get the validation, so that we have the validation already. And finding the calmness in the fact that death is part of life. Things come and go. We do have, and then we don't have, or we have for a while. And telling ourselves in our challenges that we are terrific. For example, at mental health, or if we have to change something, if we have a problem with someone or a place or a thing, it's really our problem. So we'll be the one that's affected when it's gone. We can't blame them or blame a person because we chose it. Excuse me. If we're able to stay, then we're able to go. And then I had a talk with Joanna about not projecting. This is also someone in my recovery. So it doesn't work to say never again. We got to have the big picture, though, and the gratitude. Remember I said that if we can't see the good if we're projecting what we know already. So, for example, when we abstain from something that we find to be toxic, that's the beginning. But recovering ourselves, whatever was blocking, we remove it. But then recovering ourselves is an unending process. People say they're clear and sober, but like clear means that like it's clarity. It's more is being revealed. We can take what we want and leave the rest. Like we don't have to hold on to everything. For example, some people in recovery are from trauma, from addiction, from criminal behavior, and even from like process, like using computer, food, sex, like things that are like something you do you're supposed to use to some extent, but not overdo. So, for example, people who are overeaters are not necessarily addicted to sugar. So each one is having their own thing. Someone else might be addicted to sugar, and therefore we could say some progress is invisible, and also that different things work for different people, and that peace, happiness, joy is the gift of humility, to say, I don't have to have it all figured out. We know getting overconfident could be dangerous. There's a fleeting high that's not worth it. Like, I'm so great, and then I could be so bad. Or when we let someone else's compliments make us feel so great, then the minute that they don't give it or they ignore us, we feel like crap. So we have to remember, we're going to keep doing something until we're not doing it. And if we react, it's because of unfinished business. There's nothing wrong with that. That's our healing. And sometimes we could look at ourselves as radiant, like our energy broadcasting, not sucking up, breathing into the moment, and permission comes from within, because it doesn't matter if someone has a problem. We're cleaning out our own closet. Like, okay, so someone doesn't like something in my closet, but I'm the one that has to live with the closet. So it's not us versus them. We don't want to have that problem of we don't want to tell everyone how we spend our money, how we make a mess, and we have to stay off our back. God will send someone when it's time. And we have to remember, when we make a mess, we can be happy at the same time if we make sure to keep laughing. And most of all, it doesn't feel good to lie, to tell non-truth. All we want is to say the truth, to be our real self, to be accepted. And there's like a living in debt. There's a feeling indebting to time if we don't, realize that everyone gets a break, and each one did their best that they could with what they knew at the time and had available to them. And we're only aware, each one of us, like me now, I'm only aware of what I know now. And I can give myself permission, I can do more later. And some people use this through very extreme radical change, like rebirthing, primal screaming, really letting go and starting again in some way. Because we're only able to say what we can say now when we stopped blaming, where no one needs to be at fault, and we can start saying what's on our mind and how we really feel about, for example, for me, about my mother and father. It's not all bad, but there's a lot of things I was really trained not to say, because I was taught to be embarrassed of my feelings, really, or to cover them up. And no one's to blame, but everyone's responsible. So they had their responsibilities as parents, and more will be revealed. We can see what happens in the future, because what we have is enough. What we write is enough. We really have to get clean and clear first before we take responsibility, because we don't know what our portion is, if we're taking everything in or not taking enough in. And it doesn't mean that someone else is wrong and I was right. It doesn't mean, but it could be that, but it doesn't have to be, because there's residuals when we say it's my fault, I did it. Because when we say our real resentments and our anger, we start to see, we kind of think we would die if someone else died, and we didn't. So, when that other person left our life, or when a job ended, we thought we would disappear, and we didn't. So this residual is like taking too much credit left over from a time where we thought everything was our fault, because, others were working it out too. They're reacting too, getting triggered maybe at the same time. And on a scale of 1 to 10, if someone feels like a 20, they're a healing agent. So it doesn't always mean just because we hear it, we can listen. I can listen, you can listen, but just because we hear it doesn't mean we have to agree. So this is really a great way to look at projecting versus reflecting, reflecting on life. And finish up with a couple more talks I had with Riet and with Michelle. With Michelle, we talked about evil. We looked at okay, so now we're getting clear about what's wrong, what's right. False testimony, spilling or sharing innocent blood, stealing, encouraging people to do wrong, sleeping with someone else's husband, someone using me for wrong is wanting to use me as a sacrifice. And I had a talk with Riet that when we have our the audio and video of life out of sync, it's kind of we get to see an example of that in Zoom and YouTube and electronic, where maybe the image is not yet cut up with the words. And we learn that frailty does not mean failing. There's all different types of advanced, whether it's status, power, etc. And a mistake to put, we each have become aware of the mistake to put enormous power and expectation on one person to make us happy, versus each one is like an indisposable instrument in God's hands. Part of growing up is not endowing others as more than human and more divinity than us. And however, it's not just crises that change us. Brief encounters can precipitate a lot of change. So if we're not at ease, we can, how can we connect to that inspiration and understanding, and the reassurance and comforting is often what I am providing or able to be providing, but also to myself, not just to others. And for example, rest. Telling people it's okay to take a nap, but I have to make sure I rest enough to take a nap. And we can see all of it's available as a boost or a support, and we can seek it out to walk ourselves home. We can have others walk us home. We can see who is escorting us. Rather than turning them into the savior, they're walking us home to ourself. And ourself has everything. It's kind of gross, I'm sorry. I just blew my nose and it went on my hand. I guess a lot more is coming out because I'm sharing on these topics where it's releasing, And I'll end with Tara Brach, actually. I'll share one more piece. So self-compassion. Fears are that hopelessness, that the past will repeat itself, that I'll grasp toward what leaves me, push people away, and identifying with an outer plaster rather than an inner gold is done out of self-protection, because we can trust in the work that from now on what's meant for us will flow, and all credit goes to God. It's starting now, that we're worthy, we'll do good, we'll be grateful, and if what is needed to bloom can't be found, we need to be seen, or we have what is seen to be loved, or otherwise parts not allowed or accepted don't evolve, and life force energy stays frozen as a spore walled off until the right conditions. We will give connection and nurturing. From now on, we make that commitment, and that's to become whole. So instead of this opportunistic kind of scanning desperately for a healing chance, the energy already becomes available for us to use creatively. And this is because illness to wellness is I to we. We're doing it for the sake of the whole, that we don't want to be someone who's trying to look for someone to save us or push people away because of our grasping. She says a quote, "Don't bring a gun to a guerrilla forest. If you want to engage intimately, don't bring the gun." You're going to have to show up as yourself. So it's showing up to your fears. It's not a survival of the fittest, but the nurtured. The most nurtured. We need mindfulness, compassion to flourish. She teaches a technique. She says it's called RAIN. Bring in the love and attention we didn't get to have now. We didn't get to have it, and here and now we bring it. One is recognize it, what it really is, to allow, not trying to push it away or fix it. We say this belongs. And 3, investigate, where in my body. 4, nurture, what is the hurt part of me need in this moment. So I wrote, I wrote a few things, but first I'll say, she says also, I see you, Mara. Mara is the Buddhist word for Yetzirah. Yetzirah means the will to bad, but it's not really bad. It's the will to greed, selfishness, needing more than we really need. So first we could tell ourselves, I love you. So she says, tell Mara, tell the Yetzirah, I see you. Let's have tea, or let's get together. Let's figure this out. And something that I could tell myself is, I love you. I'm with you, and I'm not leaving, because I feel there's a sense of, I'm practicing now with you this RAIN. So bringing in the love and attention, I feel there's someone I'm really craving, and this is the theme. I'm craving for someone to show up proactively and be there for me and want me to be happy. But I made a commitment with my body to serve my light, but my light is not necessarily serving my body, because I keep thinking my light is in someone else. So allowing is saying this belongs, this codependency, and investigating where in my body. It's really my spine, a lot of my neck. And what does the hurt part of me need in this moment? And then says, another thing I wrote was, the great-grandparents or relatives of my lineage can have a hand on my shoulder, supporting me and appreciating me, and it's exactly where I need it. My shoulder, I don't want to carry the whole world. So I could just represent them, I got you, and nurture and say, I got you. I'm not going to leave you. Because I feel often like I'm at war with my body. I'm like done with it. Like I want to throw it away. Almost violent. Or I want to like just give it food and make it shut up and stop bothering me. And it's like screaming for this sense of the light also returning the commitment. That's the sacrifice my body made to serve the light. Like my light is not in a man, it's in me. So like to be recognizing myself. So to recognize what it really is like I'm othering myself. I'm making someone else be more valuable than me, even though I have to live with myself. And so when I say it belongs, this codependency, I can see where my body, it's like I need someone else to feel like is going to carry me with me. And now I recognize all my ancestors are carrying me with me. I'm not alone. My parents, my grandparents. The other one's rooting for me in my genes. Anyway, stop here. It's a long video, but I guess it's a couple days. It's a holiday. I wish you a good moed, which means like gathering appointed time. Anyway, be well. Bye.